the gladiator mentality, and people look at us like, okay, really? Yeah, really.
All right, let's do this. Diamond Envy podcast. What is up? I'm your host, Tyler McComas, Diamond Envy. You know what? It's always brought to you by Cavens Group. Check them out. Cavensgroup.com. A D1 record. It's currently a D1 record. 14th straight appearance, super regional appearance for OU softball as OU mows through the Norman Regional, a perfect weekend, back to a super regional for the 14th consecutive season. I got to say season maybe instead of years, since the COVID year didn't happen. We didn't get to the postseason. Whatever. You get the point. I just tweeted this out. DeMarco Murray was going into his junior season the last time that Patty Gasso didn't have a team at OU that was going to a super regional. How insane is that? Think about that. DeMarco Murray, who clearly is back here at OU as the running backs coach, was going into his junior season that 2009 year, the last time OU didn't play for a super regional. So first off, you just kind of have to clap it up a little bit, appreciate the run that OU's been on, get excited about what's to come here in the future. But 14 consecutive years of making a super regional it's insane. I mean, it is what it is. And I kind of want to dive into that a little bit deeper later on this episode. But let's not bury the lead here, because this is what I think the lead is. I think Nicole May is the lead today. And she gets the start on Friday. She was fantastic. I did not expect her, guys. I don't know about anyone else, but I did not expect her to get the start today. I thought it was going to be Kirsten Deal. That's who I would have guessed, or I think that's who I did guess on Saturday night. Kirsten Deal gets the start for the first game against Oregon, bring in Kelly Maxwell in that if necessary game. So I was a little bit surprised to see Nicole May. I was excited, and I was excited for her just based off what she's done the past 8 days, but very surprised. And I think what's happened with her over the past 8 days is the biggest storyline of this weekend and one of the bigger storylines going on right now with this team. Now, to be fair, Nicole May has won a lot of championships. She's pitched in a lot of big games. She's been in some big spots before. It should come as a surprise to no one, myself included, when Nicole May goes out there and has a really good start. But she just hadn't had a ton of opportunities. Like, for someone who's been around the program as long as she has, and with so many newcomers in the circle this year, I probably would have thought before the year that she was going to play a bigger role with this team, maybe be clearly the number 2 pitcher, especially after the year that she had last season. That just hasn't necessarily happened. But what has happened is she has really risen to the occasion in her final run in an OU uniform. And it's awesome, man. It's so much fun to watch. I went back and looked at the numbers. So in the past 8 days, and I'm going back to the Big 12 championship game, the Big 12 tournament championship game against Texas. She came in relief performance. In the past 8 days, she's got 3 appearances, 2 starts, 1 in relief. She's got 2 wins. She's got a save, 11 2/3 innings pitched, just 8 hits allowed, just 1 earned run, and 18 strikeouts. I mean, how can you not be super excited for Nicole May and come out of this weekend saying, all right, she's going to be a factor. She's going to be a big factor here moving forward. Now, I know that she started 2 out of the 3 games. I don't think that necessarily means that we have a different ace on our hands or anything like that. Kelly Maxwell will continue to start the biggest games of the season here. But Nicole May, kind of as of right now, looking like she's really going to go out on a high note in her OU career, is awesome. Because there's so many likable players on this team. Heck, everyone's likable. I can't remember the last time OU had a softball player that was an unlikable player. But everyone's so beloved around here. But Nicole May, maybe she's not number 1. I don't know. To some people, she may be. But she's she's at the top of the list, most people's list of, players that they like the most, beloved the most, like whatever you want to say to that, just because of how steady she's been throughout her entire career. She's been solid, consistent throughout her entire career. You can always count on Nicole May. No, Nicole May is rarely going to have the best stuff on an entire staff, though it's pretty good, right? But you can just always count on her to come up in the big moments, and that's what she did again today against a good Oregon team. which I was wrong on that, by the way. I thought it was going to be OU and Boston today. It was OU and Oregon, and Oregon's a really scrappy team, a team that can, really make some things happen, both in the field, at the plates, good in the circle. Very impressed with Oregon this weekend. Really was. I think that we knew coming into this thing that they were a really good team. They had struggled a little bit against top 25 opponents. They really pushed OU in a couple of games this weekend. 6-3 on Saturday, 3-2 on Sunday. Oregon's a good softball team. They just ran into the 3-time defending champs on their home field. And as well as Oregon played for the majority of the weekend, it's just going to be really tough to beat this OU team once. It's going to be extremely difficult to beat them twice. And that's kind of where we're at right now with this team moving forward, is for them to not play any more softball, for this great historic run to be over, they're going to have to lose twice at some point. And seeing them losing once, I mean, they played in some close games here recently for sure, but this team getting beat twice with Kelly Maxwell the way that she's pitching, now with Nicole May, you throw her in the mix. And I know we didn't see Kirsten Deal this weekend, but you got to think that she's going to be a factor moving forward. That's 3 legitimate arms that you feel good about right now. 3 legitimate arms. And coming out of this regional, that's who I think that we're going to be talking about as the 1, 2, 3 heading into Supers next week. Is Kelly Maxwell is your 1. And then let's talk about Nicole May and Kirsten Deal, as they're going to get opportunities as well. So, yeah, I am never going to take a weekend like this for granted. And I don't think that you should either. And not that anyone necessarily out there is, but the goal is to win a national championship, all right? We know that. We talk about it in the off season, early in the year, this time of year. It can be, I guess, a little bit easy to overlook or not appreciate as much something that happened this weekend. Like, no, we're not going to be looking back at the Norman Regional as one of our favorite times of this season that ends up with the championship. But it's just not a given that you roll through a regional. Ask Arkansas, Missouri, like they're playing right now. They lost their first game. We'll see what happens in that one against Omaha. UCLA last year lost to Grand Canyon. It's not just a given, even if you're the home team, that you're going to roll through a regional. Granted, OU's done it 14 consecutive seasons now, but it's not a given. So appreciate this moment. Appreciate what this team was able to do. Appreciate how this team was able to close out a close game on Sunday against a good Oregon team. And appreciate Nicole May for what she was this weekend, which is dominant. Start on Friday. Let's not overlook the start on Friday that she had against Cleveland State. 9 strikeouts, 5 innings pitched. No runs, just 3 hits allowed. She's been, I think this might be the best way to put it. She's been exactly what this team has needed her to be at this time of the year. They've needed someone outside of Kelly Maxwell to come in, start a game. Looks like she's pitched in a lot of big games and a lot of big postseason games before. Keep the ball in the yard, keep the ball down, get strikeout. I mean, just consistent. Like everything that this team has needed her to be, that's what she's been over the course of her past 3 appearances. And it's not the last time that I'm going to be on here on this podcast talking about what Nicole May just did. She's going to get more and more opportunities moving forward. And I would guess in a super regional, Kelly Maxwell gets to start in game 1, and you might see Nicole May even start a game 2. You can't put a price or you can't put a value on the postseason experience that she's had. And no, she hasn't necessarily been OU's most dominant pitcher this year, but Patty has not hesitated to throw her out there because she's seen her time and time again throughout the postseason. So I'm happy. I'm excited. They get through the Norman Regional, and you are 2 wins away from Oklahoma City. 2 wins away from getting back to what we talk about all year long, getting back to OKC. 2 more wins, and you're going to have those opportunities next week at Love's Field. Jada was really good this weekend. Ella Parker is a star, will only continue to be a star. Like, the offense wasn't just, a 10 out of 10, A++, crazy good throughout the weekend, and oh my God, like the offense was solid. I think that's probably a good word to use for the offense this weekend. It was solid. What you had the 9-0 win over Cleveland State on Friday, 6 runs against Oregon on Saturday, and it felt like you had a ton of home runs in that game. And then, of course, the 3-2 win over Oregon on Sunday. Still, even in that Oregon game, especially in that first inning, left some runs on the board. Would have liked to see them really kind of blow that game open early. But look, at this time of the year, in no way am I going to sit around and complain about a win or really even be super critical about a win. 2 out of 3 games they played this weekend was against a good Oregon team. I'll take that. If it looks next weekend like it did this weekend, you're going to Oklahoma City, and I'll take that all day long. So, yeah, just not an A++ performance by the offense, but we know what they're all about. I think that as the games get more and more significant, you'll be able to count on them more and more. So a solid performance from the offense. And solid is okay when you have the defense and the pitching like you had this weekend. You got Nicole May and Kelly Maxwell pitching like that. You're going to be all right, even with just a solid offense. But I would expect them, even going into next weekend, to bounce back in a big way. Excited to hear what Patty says after the game today. She said what going into the regional, she felt like her team is playing their best softball. Interesting to hear if that question is asked and what she thinks about this team and kind of where they're at right now, playing their best softball. But I mean, here we are again. I mean, 2 wins away from OKC, and it's going to be crazy, insane. It was insane this past weekend at Love's Field. But when you got someone potentially like a Florida State coming to town, then, yeah, that place is going to be rocking. In the recent history that you've had, you respect that program. That's a good program. Going to be a lot of fun. I've been saying it for a few weeks now, but it's true. Live in the moments. Be present, because this is the most fun time of the year for college softball. When the weather's terrible out in the month of December, January, it's cold out. You can't even really walk outside. These are the types of days that we're dreaming about. I cannot wait till the spring. I cannot wait until the summer gets here, and we're talking about OKC playing the biggest softball games of the year. Well, here we are, guys. Here we are. So live in the moment and enjoy it, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. FSU and Auburn, bottom of the second right now as I'm recording this. So I did not miss the Florida State-Auburn score, who's coming to Norman for the Super Regional, just kind of scoreboard checking right now. I hope it's FSU. You'll see Auburn in the coming years in the SEC and all that. But FSU, the number 15 overall seed, the Noles, they'll bring some fans, all that. I think it'd be fun if Florida State is the opponent for the Super Regional. I think that would be a lot of fun. Nice job by Kelly Maxwell in relief today. I know she gave up the 1 run, but to close that one down, 3 up, 3 down in the 7th, that was big. Because Oregon, they got OU to go 3 up, 3 down, I believe, in the top of the 7th. So this is it for Oregon, right? Like, their season is on the line. They can apply all the pressure if they win this game for a kind of winner-take-all regional type of thing on Sunday nights. But Kelly Maxwell doesn't even give them the hope of tying that game and take it in extra innings. She completely shut them down. And I love Kelly Maxwell's start on Saturday. You know, she was cruising right along again against a really good Oregon team. Patty takes her out. I know that was controversial. It's hard to really be critical and really second guess decisions that Patty makes. I think she just wanted to get Carly Keeney in the game. And Carly Keeney has been really good recently. So, like, at the time that the decision was made, you can't really question it too much, because Patty wants to get these pitchers postseason experience. She does. She wants them to be involved. I think it's pretty much a three pitcher rotation here moving forward to the Super Regional. But I don't know that for sure. You never know what can happen. Maybe you need Carly Keeney at some point down the road. So I get the logic. I get the thinking behind that, wanting Carly Keeney to get some valuable postseason experience. It just didn't work out. It didn't work out. But in saying that, I applaud Kelly Maxwell for coming back in the game and closing it out like she did, because that's not easy. I mean, you're a starting pitcher, like, mentally you're just locked in focus. And human nature, the moment that you're pulled out of the game, that mental just kind of lock in. It kind of fades away, and you kind of get out of things. And then She has to get locked back into the game. That's not an easy thing to do. It's really not an easy thing to do. And I don't know if I want to say it's one of the most or the most impressive thing that Kelly Maxwell's done this year, but don't overlook how impressive that was, because that's pretty difficult to do. So hats off to Kelly Maxwell and just the entire pitching staff this weekend, because it was really a lot of strikeouts this weekend. Kept balls in the yard for the most part. I know Oregon had one yesterday, one today, I think, as well. But you really limited Oregon in a couple of games. It's got a good offense. So let's just see it keep rolling here moving forward. And this is one of the craziest days. I'm just kind of scoreboard watching right now. I'm not going to sit here and like update all the scores. Some of you are going to be listening to this 2 hours after I record. Some of you are going to be listening to it the next day, 2 days, whenever you listen to this. So I don't need to be, looking at scores necessarily from results that might be over for 2 days. But it's one of the craziest days of the year, maybe the single craziest day of softball, just because of the upsets that happen, right? And that's why I say 14 consecutive seasons going to a super regional, you got to appreciate that. It's the longest streak in all of D1 softball. It's just not a given. Like, softball is such a funny game. You can run across an elite pitcher. I mean, heck, OU's won a national championship before, and they were on the ropes against Tulsa in a regional, right? I think a lot of us remember that. So don't take this for granted. Really impressed with what happened today throughout the weekends, and can't wait to preview what's to come next, which we will do early this next week. We'll preview. If it's Florida State, we'll talk about the Noles. If it's Auburn, we'll talk about War Eagle coming to town as well. But overall, fun once again. Can't wait to do it again next weekend with you guys right here on the Diamond Envy podcast. I'm your host, Tyler McComas. Appreciate Caven's Group, as always, for sponsoring the podcast. We'll talk to you next week.